You obviously love listening to podcasts. Well, have you tried an audiobook? Hi, I'm Kim, and I am an audiobook listener. It's actually my preferred way to, quote unquote, read. And if you haven't tried listening to one yet, go to www.fromringtoveil.com/freebook to get a free audiobook from Audible. I may have just given you your new obsession.
I'm Shannon.
And I'm Kim.
And you are listening to From Ring to Veil,
a wedding planning podcast,
where we share tips and information to help you plan the wedding of your dreams.
Without all the stress.
Elopement versus a large wedding. Episode number 79.
In this episode, we will give you something to think about. Reasons to elope and reasons to have a large wedding. Plus some stats on wedding laws across the U.S.
Wedding laws across the U.S. They all vary, and we'll give you a select number of states. We'll go over some of their laws and snicker about them a little bit. So
we'll try not to make too much fun. So, Shannon, if you could do it all again, would you have a large wedding or would you elope?
Hell no.
Neither one?
I would elope. I would go somewhere, just me and him, and do something.
That's hilarious because we're doing a wedding planning show.
Yeah, I know. Well, yes. It's, what is it? You either love to plan and not be the center of attention. I love to plan things.
Right.
I don't like to be the center of attention.
Right, that's the thing. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, yeah, I can plan. I can plan. I'm not a planner, but I can plan things. Mm-hmm. I don't like to be the center of attention. I don't want people to plan things for me. My wedding... Hope my parents aren't listening to this, which I don't think they do. But it was, the end party was great. The ceremony was good. Getting up to that point
drove you a bit mad?
Drove me crazy. Mm-hmm. Nothing was my own. Let me just say that. So it wasn't my wedding.
That's why we're so adamant about it's your wedding. Do what you want because... Right. You had to experience it, not your wedding.
And if your mother says, "Ooh, I don't like that dress,"
ask somebody else.
Say, "Yes, this is the dress I want." Just be firm. Because we mentioned this group a lot, and on the Wide Bride the other day, this girl, she had on this beautiful red dress. Mm-hmm. Says, "This is the dress I want. What do I do if my parents don't like it?" And that's the first thing I told her. I said, "It's your wedding. It's your dress.
Right.
You do it." But anyway, that's not our topic today.
That's not.
Reasons to elope.
And there are a few.
Yes.
And number one is money.
Right. If you don't have money saved up, you don't have money in savings, you don't have money, your parents don't have money, elope. It's not going to be less special.
No, it's not. You can make it very special.
Right.
And you don't have to fly off to Vegas to elope either. Right. You can do elopes much closer to home, we found out.
We can do elopements a lot closer to home and not just in Vegas.
We'll
go over some of the laws later. It's quicker.
It can be. If you're not, intensely planning your elopement, yes, it can be.
It's less stress.
That's right.
Which we all need.
Exactly. You can avoid certain situations, like your mom telling you, "I don't like this venue," or
"I don't like this dress and I'm not buying it for you."
You can avoid some of those situations of who to invite and who not to invite because so-and-so doesn't get along with so-and-so.
Right.
Hardly any planning, no seating charts, and no timelines, really.
You do what you want when you want. Right. You can go get married by Elvis in Vegas if you want.
Yeah, I think they have other people too.
Yeah, they
not
do.
Just Elvis, but
it's spontaneous. It's romantic. Maybe you get engaged and don't want to wait at all.
Right.
And you just want to go off and get married. Go do it.
Yeah, go do it.
You're an adult. As long as you're an adult.
Yes.
You're a legal adult. Because in different states, there are different legalities of adultness. Is that a word?
Yeah, I think I understand what you're saying.
There are different ages of consent, let me tell you.
And it can be very romantic. Just you two, and you can go off and get eloped and then have your honeymoon right then if you want to. Just plan a quick little getaway, get married, have your honeymoon, come back, say, guess what?
We're married.
You can, it would be really cool is if you surprise everybody have a party.
Yeah.
Which it's really your reception, But I think you would have to tell them ahead of time if you want gifts. But maybe that doesn't even matter to you.
Why would you want gifts? Especially if it's a second marriage or something like that, you don't need gifts. But, even if you've been living together for so long and you already have an established house and That's everything true. You need, you don't need gifts. Gifts aren't the thing.
Right. It's not really the thing. It's just an extra special thing. And like you said, if it's not your first wedding, go elope. Then go elope. You don't have to plan a big, huge thing unless there's kids involved and you want to involve everybody in the whole wedding thing.
And your first marriage and your first wedding wasn't anything special. Maybe you want this one to be special. That's up to you. Anxiety and being the center of attention. That's me. I don't like being the center of attention. People watching me, especially walking down an aisle, because I do trip on air. Any bump, if there's an uneven walkway
at all,
I will trip. I don't necessarily always fall, but I trip. And that's just, it causes me severe anxiety.
Yeah, you don't want to fall on your face in front of everybody.
Right, especially in a big white dress.
Right.
And then have to finish your ceremony all dirty. That's my thing. I go with the scenario all the way through.
Oh, okay.
And it just goes,
It just gets worse and worse and worse. Yeah, gotcha. If your fiance is in the military, or you both are, elopement might be a good choice.
Because if you're about to all go...
different parts of the world.
Yeah. And you want to get married before, then you need to go do that.
Right.
You never wanted a big wedding to begin with. Maybe it's small, but it's not really coming together the way you want. Just go elope.
I think Shannon's for the elopement. You don't want to deal with bossy, nosy family. People who will try to step in and take over. Maybe a mother-in-law's a little bit too on hands with the wedding planning.
Or your mother, or your grandparents, or, anyone.
Trying to lord it over you. They're giving you money or whatever.
Yeah. Reasons to have a large wedding. You always wanted one.
That's right.
You want a huge wedding. Big fluffy dress. 10,000 attendants. Your whole sorority in line.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't pick just one.
Then you should have a large wedding. If you always wanted one, you should have one.
You can afford a large wedding. That's another reason.
Yeah, if you can, do it. You have a huge family and a huge circle of friends. And
that would be very, very angry if you went off and got married.
And you want to include them all in your wedding. Do it. Have a huge wedding.
You need the gifts.
Right. Right. If you're say you're both coming out of college or something and you've been in dorms and very small apartments.
And you have all this throwaway furniture from IKEA.
Yeah. And you have no real good utensils or pots and everything.
You've been using plastic forks and paper plates your whole adult life.
You need the gifts. That's also
to learn how to adult.
Exactly.
You love organization and planning parties. But like I said, I love planning. I just don't like to have them being for me.
So if you're fine with being the center of attention and you love being center of attention and you love planning parties and big weddings and all kinds of events, planning a big wedding is for you.
Right. But always hire a planner.
Yes.
No matter how organized you are and how it's easy for you to plan, always hire a planner.
Especially a day of.
Yes. You deal with stress really well.
Yeah.
Not me.
Yeah, if it just rolls off your back, go ahead, because it's very stressful. If you aren't careful with it, it can be not as stressful.
You have very supportive family and friends that will help you through this whole process. and will not tell you not to buy that dress because it's red.
That is really important, I think, is to have a good supportive somebodies.
Yeah. But they will also tell you when the dress looks really, really bad.
Exactly.
Or that color's really, really ugly.
Yeah, it does not go well with your skin tone or what have you. Not just that, ooh, I don't like that. Yeah. Because it makes you look yellow.
Yeah.
Don't wear
or
that.
Or green.
That kind of a support system. If you like to be in a spotlight, like we said, you don't mind being the center of attention. Mm-hmm. A large wedding is for you.
Yep. And it's your first wedding. Mm-hmm. You want to have that big, huge wedding for your first wedding. Go and do it. We're not against big weddings.
No, of course
I'm against
not.
a big wedding for me.
Right.
And my first wedding, I've only been married once, and I'm still married. Sorry. It wasn't very big in the first place, but you know me, I was red all the way through.
Were you?
I have pictures of me with my cheeks all flamed up. So
some people just aren't good with that. Now mine wasn't very huge, and it's not that I like being in the spotlight, but I don't like it. Doesn't give me anxiety, I guess. No. So I'm a little bit in the middle. It's funny because I couldn't even look at Eric because I didn't want to bawl. That's my issue. I don't like crying in front of people. I don't like to look at
people in the eye anyway. So I was sitting there going,
I just didn't want to cry. So I didn't want to look at Eric and bawl my head off because I would have. But when we have our vow renewal, which we're going to have at some point when we can do that, it's not going to be huge, but we're not going to elope either. We're going to have somewhere in between.
Okay.
So get ready for that.
All right. It's our our more informational part of our podcast about marriage laws. So if you do want to go elope, these are the states that you can go to. Well, we will go down the line. And we're not going to do all of them. We're going to do major ones. Or the ones that we thought were interesting when we looked at them.
Yes.
But we are first going to start with Alabama because it's the first on the list. So if you were in Alabama, you can get married at the age of 16. There is no waiting period. So if you do want to elope and you're an adult,
age of 16 or older,
you can go to Alabama and get married with no waiting period. And they will allow anyone from any state to go there and get married. You don't have to be a resident of Alabama. Of course, there's no blood test required. None of them require blood tests anymore.
Right. Right. So we'll go to California next. Is that okay? All right. So California, the minimum age to marry is 18. There's also no waiting period.
So you don't have to go to Vegas.
No.
You can go to LA, San Francisco, San Diego.
Or just over the border, probably, right. Wherever you are, if you're close enough.
If you're in Nevada and want to get married in California.
Right. Go ahead and go.
Go on one side of Lake Tahoe or the other.
One thing here is it's good for 90 days. So you've got
90 days from when you get the license.
3 months to get married.
Florida. Minimum age without parental consent.
Does it say that specifically?
Yes.
Okay.
The legal age for marriage without parental consent is 18 years of age. The legal age for marriage with parental consent is 16. Once you get your marriage license, you have 60 days to get married.
Okay.
And there is a 3-day waiting period.
Okay. Hawaii. The state of Hawaii.
If you want to go elope in Hawaii, that'd be great.
And then you can have your honeymoon right there.
Right.
So the legal age to marry is 18 for both applicants, but the minimum age to marry is 15 males or females of 15 years of age or over who wish to marry require written consent from both parents.
Or legal guardian.
Or legal guardian, of course, yeah. And written approval of a judge of a family court. So you can get married at 15, but you have to have permission.
Parental consent.
You have to have permission. Or you can be 18 and get married. And there's no waiting period. And this one is kind of a quickie, but The license is only good for 30 days. So a lot of places have 3 months, 90 days. This one is only 30.
Okay. We'll go to Illinois next.
Okay.
You must be 18 years of age to get married in the state of Illinois. Marriage licenses are valid for 60 days, beginning the day after the date it's issued. I don't see where it says there's a waiting period.
Okay, probably no waiting period then.
It doesn't say anything about a waiting period, so I don't know. You'll have to call the state of Illinois, or if you're going to get married in a certain county, call that county.
Right.
Because the county laws can be different than state.
That's true.
So, I mean, we're just doing state laws.
All right, we're going to Kentucky next. Both applicants must be 18 years of age to be married in Kentucky, which, you know, you think of it as the South, and a lot of us have that idea that, you know, little kids can get married in the South, which is not true, which we found out. There is no waiting period. You have 30 days, including the date issued, to get married. That's about it.
Yeah. So, Massachusetts. You must be 18 years of age or older. If either party is under the age of 18, it needs parental consent. There is a 3-day waiting period in the state of Massachusetts. It does not have a time that the license is valid. So, there's that little tidbit.
All right, Nevada. So that's where Vegas is. You must, okay, it says to obtain a marriage license, both parties must appear in person before a clerk at the local county marriage license bureau. So both of you have to be there.
And you can't be drunk from what I hear.
Yes. Both parties must be 18 years of age to get married in Nevada. There's no waiting period. Picture ID, which I'm seeing on most of these. A marriage license allows a couple to marry in the state.
But it's not proof of marriage.
Right. So you could get married, but it doesn't.
You could have your certificate, but if it's not signed by whoever officiated, then it's not valid. You know, all of these stories where you hear all of these people going to get married and they were all drunk and they went and got married. They won't let you do that.
No, I don't think they will.
So that was Nevada. Let's go to New York. New York has a 24-hour waiting period, so that's not too bad.
No, not too bad.
It's valid for 60 days. It doesn't say if you apply for a marriage license. New York State requires all individuals who intend to get married to apply for and obtain a marriage license from any of the city or town clerks. If you get married in New York City, you have to go to one of the 5 borough offices. So if you live in Brooklyn, or if you're going to marry in Brooklyn, you have to go to the Brooklyn borough office. If you get married in Manhattan, you have to go, yeah. I don't see anywhere where it says the age in New York. That's a little weird.
Yeah, that is. Maybe
call New York. If you're going to get married in New York State, call New York. But hopefully you're an adult.
Yes, and you can pretty much assume 18. It seems like every one of them's 18. Oregon, since you guys are right close to us, 18. You can get married at 17 with signed consent from either a parent or a guardian. So not both of them. Just, it says either. 3-day waiting period. They want you to be sure. 60-day license validity. 60 days is how long it's good for.
Yes. So we're going to Texas, my home state. Minimum age in Texas is 16. Applicants under the age of 18 must have a certified copy of their birth certificate. Not just the form. You need to have the long version, which is about a legal size sheet of paper.
Do you need signed consent or just your birth certificate?
It has to have judicial approval or parental consent.
There you go.
The waiting period is 72 hours. So if you want to get married in Texas, you're going to have to wait 3 days. So get there on a Wednesday, get married on a Saturday or Sunday. Or Tuesday, get married on Saturday. There is a 90-day validity time. So you have 90 days from the date that they issue the marriage license to get married. Residency is not required and blood tests are not required. Utah. We picked Utah because it was a little strange. When we were looking over, we had a kind of a chuckle. When you think of Utah, minimum age to get married, you must be at least 15 years old. If you are 16 and 17, this is a little strange to me. I don't understand why. Okay, so the minimum age is 15. Mm-hmm. But if you are 16 or 17, you need signed consent.
What about the 15-year-old?
If you are 15 years old in the state of Utah, you can get married, but you need a consent from a parent or guardian. The juvenile court must approve the marriage and must conclude that the marriage is voluntary and in the best interest of the minor. The juvenile court may require premarital counseling. The juvenile court may impose other conditions, such as requiring the minor to continue to attend school. There is no waiting period in the state of Utah, and the marriage license is valid for 30 days.
That is interesting. Out of all the ones that we looked at, that was probably the most interesting one, state that we saw. All right. Washington, that's where we live right now. Both applicants must be 18 years or older. Both applicants must be currently unmarried, which I assume that should be in almost every state, right? There is a 3-day waiting period, and it's good for 60 days. No blood tests. So, yeah, it's standard here. 18, 3 days, 60 days.
It says nothing about underage marriages, so...
That's right.
It says you can have witnesses, but they need to be at least 12 years of age.
Yeah, well...
That's a little strange.
Well, I mean...
A lot of them say your witnesses have to be over 18.
That's true.
So this one says they need to be at least 12 years of age. I guess if this is your second marriage, maybe you can have your kids witness.
Oh, yeah, that would make sense.
So
that would make sense. So that's kind of all we have for you on the marriage laws. We didn't actually go into marriage laws overseas or anything because we're not really sure, where to even look for that. But if this kind of gives you an idea of if you want to elope, where you can go.
Right.
And know that you have other options than just Vegas. Of course,
you
Vegas
can go to Hawaii.
Yeah.
There's no waiting period in Hawaii.
That's right. And you can have your honeymoon right there.
Right.
Which I'm like,
let's go.
I love that. I think that's pretty awesome. So there you go. If you want to look further into this, we found these at usmarriagelaws.com.
Right. And it'll go, if you look under your state or any state that you want to get married in, they go into the different counties. So if you know what city you want to get married in, look at the county laws because they're sometimes different than the state laws. That's just the disclaimer.
Right.
So make sure you look into it.
I would look into it and then contact somebody and verify to make sure that the laws haven't changed, that they've updated their information and all that. Are you eloping? Are you going to have a big wedding? Where are you going to go? Hopefully we've helped answer some of these questions for you, give you a little bit clearer idea of what you want. And hey, you could be in the middle of your wedding planning and decide to elope. Just say, we're done with this, let's elope. And that's just fine if that's what you guys decide to do. You can do it. I know it's kind of hard when you are younger getting married as opposed to when you're older getting married.
Right.
And also you want to please your parents, the people who are paying for it. And as a parent, you don't want to, I would say you don't want to try to rule it and make it yours. You want to try to step back and let this wedding be their wedding.
Right.
You've got emotions, you've got people. It can be a very stressful, hard thing. But if you decide you can't handle any more wedding planning, and you decide you can't be the one in the spotlight.
And if you haven't put very many deposits down on anything.
And especially if there's some refundable ones.
Right.
You can get some back. But elope.
Look in your contracts, though. If you already
definitely
have contracts, you need to look in your contracts because you could be out of a lot of money. And then that would make your family mad if they paid for it.
Right.
They'd probably make you go ahead and do it anyway.
They might. Or you could just have a party or the reception or whatever it is. Which is absolutely fine if that's the way you want to go because it is your wedding. Mm-hmm.
If you would like to talk to us, ask us questions, comments, anything.
Give us topics.
Yes. Email us at info@fromringtoveil.com or hashtag fromringtoveil on Twitter or Instagram.
Don't miss a show. Subscribe to From Ring to Veil anywhere you listen to podcasts. So that's in iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher. You can also, there's subscribe buttons on our website from ringtoveil.com. Whatever app you're using, they usually have a subscribe button right there. That way you get the newest episodes as soon as they come out.
Leave us a review on iTunes.
And until next time, no stress, no worries, keep calm and listen on.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. You can find us on Facebook, From Ring to Veil, on Twitter, @From Ring to Veil, and on our website, FromRingToVeil.com.
Music provided by bensound.com.